So to make our crappy demo, or inspired by Crappy Cat project, working with this, first thing is to get some artwork, get some objects to deal with. We're going to start out this afternoon just dealing with a basic background and a basic figure or character object. And we'll work on making that move and look at some of the pros and cons of some of the movement strategies you can do using keyboard control, because that's really the easiest way to get going with it. Is we'll start with the keyboard control and add more into it later. Now, as I created my objects, I converted things to movie clips. One thing you will notice in my movie clips is that all of the names of the movie clips begin with an uppercase letter. Their library name. Instance names traditionally will always begin with a lowercase letter. Library names, which will eventually become class names for objects in our library, begin with uppercase letters. That is the convention of the language. So that's a convention of how we format the language, that the class name, which is also serving as the library name, will begin with a capital letter. Do not put spaces in your library names. Don't put funny characters in. Just always start with the letter. You can have numbers if you want, but it must be a single word. So use camel case or something like that if you want to have multiple words joined together. But it's important to get accustomed to doing that, because that will save you a lot of heartache. So the library name will begin with an uppercase. The instance name, the name when it's on the stage, should always begin with the lowercase letter. It's useful then to name it, the instance name, to be similar or the same as the class name, but with the lowercase. So because I named my little thing Dude as its library name, its instance name will be Dude. So eventually we'll start adding all of these objects through. We'll use the magic of code to just draw them from the library and place them onto the stage. But right now we can position things on the stage, give them names, and then control them and move them around. And now the area around my character, I shall title space, because my library name is space for that. So now I have two things here, and that means I can actually start controlling these through the magic of code, which then means I need a new layer that I can start typing my code into. What we can also experiment with and see is, are there any snippets that might be of use to us, and use that as a starting point. So when you're first learning code and working with it, I highly encourage you to try to see if there's a snippet that does what you need in the beginning. If so, if you find one, use it, because it's going to help out. So I can see right here I have a move with keyboard arrows. If I want to move my guy with the keyboard arrows, it's a good option to work with. So Flash CS 5.5 has the capacity to have autosave turned on. I just got my warning message here. If you want to use autosave, I encourage you to do it. I'm going to say don't show it to me again. Otherwise, every so many minutes, it's going to keep popping up saying, hey, do you want to save? Yes. So now if I click on my Dude, go to my snippets, double click and move with the keyboard arrows, it now puts in some code, and I can see that it's now put in those bits of code for me. And it's a very verbose code, or there's a lot of words here, and we will dissect them in a little bit. But now that I have done this, I can test my movie, and I can use the keyboard arrows and we can see that I'm moving. So it does indeed work. So that's a good first step. It's nice when you have a snippet that does pretty much what you want in the first get-go, that you don't have to do a lot of other things. Now it's not necessarily complete yet, because we're going to run into some issues. Namely, I can move here and keep moving and keep moving. Oops, I went away. If I hold the left arrow and go back, eventually he'll wander back on screen. So we probably need to put some limits and other things like that on it. So it's not perfect code yet, but it's on its way. Typically, a way that you will set up movement, we have our enter frame function set up. So my guy is listening for enter frame. And then when that happens, it calls the FL underscore move in direction of key function. And that will say if up pressed, move as Y. If down pressed, move as Y. If left pressed, if right pressed. So it checks to see what is pressed. Well, these things, up pressed, down pressed, left pressed, right pressed, are Booleans. They are variables that have a true or a false state. Currently they're false, which is why if up pressed equals true, that's the statement here, true, and I'll write it out in its entirety here just to make more sense. But for a true statement, you say if that thing. So if you wanted to say, no, if left pressed is not equal to true, you could say something like this, exclamation point equals. Or that's the same as saying false. But in this case, we want true. Notice it's using the double equals. The double equals is now pulling up as a comparison, a single equal sign. So up pressed single equal sign true would set up pressed to true. Up pressed double equal sign is saying, is it? It's asking the question. Because now I set those equal to true when I press a key. When I release a key, I set those equal back to false. So that's the base operation that's occurring here. So it's true, it's not true. It's true, not true. You can press two keys, true, not true. So if I press two opposing keys, nothing. If I press up and down, nothing. Left and right, nothing. Left and down, right and up, right, left, up, down. That's really it.